Shalom and good afternoon, Israel Briefers. Welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, where you and I have a cup of tea every Monday to Thursday. And while we are doing that, we are also taking a look at the headlines hot off the press in Israel. As always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. Now, if you are a new member, welcome to it. We are factual, we are free, and we are family. Before we get into the headlines, just a reminder that tomorrow is Thursday, which means I announce the mensch and the morons of the week. So if you have any recommendations, please send them to me via our Facebook page or pop them in the comment section below or even via our website. Today is day 551. I cannot believe that we are 551 days since the 7th of October. We have just passed the 18-month mark and we still have 59 hostages held in captivity. We know 24 are still alive, living in the most horrific conditions, but there is still time, even though it is running out fast, and we are praying for a decision and agreement, something that will bring them all back now. We want to lay the murdered to rest, and for many who say we should focus on the living, we don't make any distinction. In Judaism, the body is extremely holy. It is a vessel for the soul. And there are laws that govern how we lay people to rest and the dignity that we afford them. And I'm sure it's the same in other religions as well. And we want to lay our murdered to rest, and we want to bring those 24 living home. It is absolutely excruciating what they are enduring. We want them home now. So with that said, let's take a look at the top stories, and we begin with the spat between the government and the Shin Bet, or the Shabak. Yesterday, the Israeli High Court ruled that there would be a freeze on the firing of the head of the Shin Bet, Ronen Bar. Just a couple of weeks ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu quite controversially fired Bar, and I'll get into the reasons in a few minutes. The court ruled that the government needs to find a compromise, and also instructed the government not to interfere with Bar's work during this process. Now, there were scenes of chaos in the court as the bereaved coalition supporters and others tried to disrupt proceedings. Meanwhile, there have been clashes between the Prime Minister's office and members of the coalition and the Shin Bet. Now, some of the reasons are that there are members of the Prime Minister's office who are being investigated by the Shin Bet for possibly taking money from Qatar. The whole scandal is called Qatargate. I'm not going to elaborate on it. It is something that you can read up on your own. As well as the Prime Minister saying he fired the head of the Shabak, he says, for breach of trust. Now, Bar said he would step down and his deputy would step in his place as soon as the last remaining hostage is returned home safe to Israel. About a third of Israelis that have been surveyed support the firing of Bar, but the majority of Israelis don't. So it is an area where we do see a variety of different opinions on the subject. One of the other controversial parts of the kind of the breakdown in relations between the Prime Minister and the Shin Bet head is that the Shin Bet investigated their role that led to the failures of the 7th of October, what they should have done to prevent the attacks. And while Bar has claimed responsibility, he said it happened on his watch. The investigation also heavily criticized some of the government policies at the time. So it is quite controversial. It is one of those topics in Israel that is creating quite a bit of division. And watch the space. We will be bringing you any updates. The IDF Chief of Staff, Eyal Zamir, has ordered troops to defeat the last remaining Hamas brigade in Gaza. It is believed to be the Rafah brigade. He ordered troops, he says, wherever you are fighting, bring us victory. Meanwhile, earlier today, the IDF reported destroying at least 12 or dozens rather of weapons and terror infrastructure, as well as one tunnel. There are still tunnels in Gaza. We have heard from the hostages that were released. Hamas is continuing to dig. It's amazing what they are doing with the money that many of your taxes have been going towards, and all of those tunnels need to be destroyed. The IDF and Israel's Ministry of Defense have announced that they will be honoring the civilians who fought on the 7th of October, as well as murdered hostages. They are putting this together in a joint plan with the National Insurance Institute, and what they say is they will honor all of those civilians who fought Hamas on the 7th of October, as well as hostages that were murdered in captivity, and also any individual that was killed in a terror attack while still serving in the IDF. What this will entail is that memorial plaques will be put on the grave sites that will contain the symbol of the State of Israel, and at funerals there will be a military presence. And finally, Indonesia have said that they will accept about 1,000 Palestinians who have either been injured, traumatized, or orphaned as a result of the war. They say that they will give them a temporary residence until their injuries are healed and it is safe for them to return to the Gaza Strip. So those are our top stories for today. Let's take a look at the audience question, and it comes from Tracy Mervis, who says, what is the latest on the Egyptian buildup? Now, there have been a lot of concern from many people that there has been a buildup of an Egyptian military presence in the Sinai, which effectively conflicts with the terms of the peace treaty that says there shouldn't be a military buildup. But I'm going to read to you a bit from a paper released by Israel's Institute for National Security Studies, because a lot of people think that this means Egypt is about to declare war on Israel, and this is not the case. I will read to you from a paper. This is by one of the researchers and academics. It says, Egyptians are well aware of the consequences of war and extensive destruction it entails. To be specific, the national vision that President al-Sisi has formulated and is advancing for Egypt could be destroyed in a few days of fighting with Israel. I also think that the Egyptians don't want to chance and provoke the new administration in the United States. He says, the paper goes on, the Egyptians repeatedly remind themselves and those around them of the heavy price Egypt paid for the Palestinian cause during the rule of Abdel Nasser. However, in their view, that era has passed. Egypt now prioritizes its own interests and welfare, Egypt first, as a continuation of the development vision outlined by President al-Sisi. Escalation with Israel would only occur if Egypt were to conclude that Israel poses a direct and concrete threat to Egyptian national security. Now, remember one thing, we still have a peace treaty in place, and Egypt plays a vital role as a mediator between Israel and Hamas. They also go on to say that one of the reasons that there could be this build-up of troops, which is kind of a violation of the treaty, is that there could be a possible influx of Palestinians, and that could harm Egyptian national security. So this is the conclusion. This study was written by Ambassador Amira Oron, who is a senior researcher at the INSS, and she writes here, in conclusion, it is important to reiterate the need to preserve and emphasize the mutual commitment of Israel and Egypt to the peace treaty. This must be practiced through direct dialogue at the senior level between the two countries and also amongst the publics of both nations. So I hope that clarifies that for you. A lot of the alarm has kind of quietened down, and right now Israel's priorities are defeating Hamas and returning all of our hostages. So that's it from me for today, guys. Don't forget to check out the website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lottel's site. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. We are on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on X at Lay of the Land 5. And guys, God bless you. I'm going to enjoy a cup of tea now with so many of you. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.